So if someone would be so kind as to take a bite of their sandwich so that I can call on them to do the flight salute. No? No takers? I was hoping to catch Abby because she looks like she was ready. All right. Let's see. How about Gwen? Gwen, would you like to lead us on our flag salute, please?
I will.
What, did you forget the words, or would you prefer not?
Yeah, well, let's
Okay. Cynthia?
Sure, yeah. Please stand. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. It's, what time is it? 6:11, Monday the 10th, and we will start our monthly board meeting. With that said, can we go ahead and make sure, I don't know if we have any youth, anyone in the audience who needs some time signed up? Lori, do you okay. I just wanted to make sure. So can we have roll call, please?
Okay, Layla Aguilar. Not here, so that's unexcused. John Barbera.
Here.
Vic Christensen here. John DeMiglio is excused. Larry Eaton.
Here.
Craig Goldfarb.
Here.
Cynthia Gagnon.
Here.
Gwen Henry.
Present.
Melanie LeBray.
Here.
Kelly Miller. Also unexcused. Abby Norman. Thomas Norman.
Here.
Ray Regalado.
Here.
Michael Signorelli, Adam Stevenson, Angela Sumner, and Chris Valle are all excused. So we have 10. We do have quorum.
All right, great, thank you. We're going to move on to agenda item number 2, and that's general public comment on non-agenda items. I have one from Mr. Chris Chavez.
Yes, good evening, board members. My name is Chris Chavez. I am the Deputy Policy Director at Coalition for Clean Air, and just wanted to reach out to you about two upcoming rules. We're referred to as the indirect source rules. And there's two proposals, one relating to rail yards and another relating to ports. And basically, we wanted to reach out to community groups, community organizations, community leadership of the areas that are highly impacted by pollution. I think the most important thing relating to those two rules is obviously the port's indirect source rule. I think that the key thing that we want to make sure is that we convey is that we really need to take action on air pollution. We have the most polluted air in the country right here in California, and I know, from where we were years ago, where you couldn't see the mountains around Los Angeles, that now you can see them, but we still have air that fails to meet national air quality standards. We still have air, like I said, that's the dirtiest in the nation, according to the American Lung Association. We have heard that certain groups are coming to neighborhood councils, to other community leadership, trying to say that this is to shut down the ports. This is not to shut down the ports. This is not to put a cap on the goods throughput. But what this is to take action, require action to reduce the air pollution that is impacting our communities. I live in Long Beach, full disclosure, and the neighborhood, the zip code that I live in has a 6 to 8 year shorter life expectancy than those on the eastern side of the city. And that is a disparity that repeats itself again and again and again, including the city of Los Angeles and throughout Los Angeles County. And this is an opportunity to an opportunity that's been building for decades to really take action to reduce the port pollution. So happy to continue having this conversation with you. If you would like more information, I can be reached at chris@ccair.org. And just really want to appreciate and thank you for all the work that you do in your civic leadership roles. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I have no other cards for public comments, so unless I hear differently, I'm going to go ahead and go on to item number 3. Okay, let's talk to Lori Jacobs from the Homelessness Liaison Report.
Good evening, Board. Okay, my updated report didn't get put in the packet, but it is online. Hopefully some of you took the time to read it. The CD15 working group on homelessness kind of took a little hiatus, and they're back going again. They met last week on June 4th in person. They're now going to have the meetings quarterly, unless somebody submits something that creates more of a sense of urgency. In my report, there's an email address of cd15wg@gmail.com if you want to be added to the distribution list for meeting information. Plus, anybody can send updated reports, and those reports will be distributed through that email. We had a presentation at this meeting on the Affordable Housing Homelessness Solutions and Prevention Now initiative. And I think I briefly talked about this last month, that this is a motion that's going to be on the ballot in November. It's going to replace the county Measure H with a measure, they believe it's going to be Measure A. Currently, that Measure H is scheduled to sunset in 2028. This will replace it and change the sales tax from a quarter cent to a half a cent. So I'm not going to go in great detail. In the report, I have links if you want to learn more about this. Ray was at the meeting and John was at the meeting, and possibly as we get closer to the election, we can have a presentation talking about pro and any concerns, any cons. And possibly they're going to be arranging a town hall in San Pedro, since this is a pretty big bill. Their concerns mainly that if we don't have a new program in place, that we will run out of funds. The spigot will stop on a lot of programs that are being run now. So they did put a lot of accountability, is what they're saying. They have outcome goals, and somehow they're going to have an executive committee to try and hold them to those goals. So like I said, you can check on these links, and in the report it has a list of all their goals. On May 29th, I went to a homelessness liaison meeting. That was for all the liaisons and neighborhood councils. This was in downtown City Hall. They had, I'm going to guess, about 65 neighborhood councils represented. They said they have about 80 neighborhood councils who now have a homelessness liaison. This was more, we hadn't met since COVID, not online or in person. So this was a kind of get reacquainted and discussing what we'd like to see moving forward. What's the role of a neighborhood council homelessness liaison? Engaging, they pretty much talked about engaging the community, educating the community on programs, data, and they talked about possibly having a resource fair in the near future. I imagine they're also going to probably get involved with this the county motion to get people educated on that, so at least they can go to the booth knowing what they're talking about or have information. They had representatives from the mayor's office that talked about her citywide vision and what current barriers continue to be there to building more housing. Again, there's information in this report. I won't go into great detail there. Okay. On June 1st, LA City Mayor Bass came to San Pedro, and some of us were invited to have sort of a roundtable meeting here locally. It was really quite informative. I try to just give data and not give any partisan or information, but I will say this, that the mayor is very well versed on every issue, that all the questions that she was asked, and a few of us here were there. Tom was there, John, Ray. A lot of the questions definitely surrounded homelessness and housing, safety, transportation, all of those things. I imagine Jocelyn might hit some of those issues. I put a list in this report of all the questions that were asked during the meeting. Personally, I asked the questions about our libraries because people experiencing problems are going to the libraries to use their computers to try and fill out documents, whether it be related to housing, immigration, eviction notices, documentation, anything. And the library staff is not well versed in being able to help them. So I did request that LASA resurrect having document specialists with a hotline, so people who need to fill out these documents have a good place they could get the information and get assistance in filling out the applications. It's make it clear I'm not advertising in any way that people who have a problem go to the library. This is just to help the people who are already going there. And the libraries are already cooling centers under extreme heat, so you get people there who are also impacted. Let's see. In my report, I included information on a fairly new program that was presented at the SPA 8 Care Coordination meeting. This one's over at your school, Tom. So it's called a campus peer navigation. And so there's a campus peer navigator, and he works with Harbor Interfaith. I have his contact information there. And their goals are to connect students who are experiencing homelessness with resources that can end their housing crisis, okay, in a variety of ways, providing continuous support for housing, education, and employment for the students, assist students in referral processes, etc. So I have information here. So far, they have co-location programs at 4 campuses in our harbor area: LA Harbor College, El Camino, Dominguez Hills, and LBCC. So that's good information. I mean, homelessness hits so many different people, but I will track this since it's relatively new and see what type of information they report out. And for now, that is it on my report. Oh, I forgot, the homeless count numbers are supposed to come out the end of June. Supposedly I'm going to get raw numbers, which I already kind of have anyway because I was a site lead. But raw numbers mean this is the number of actual people counted before they put their multiplier on there. And the multiplier is basically based on surveys. When they count a car or an RV, it's estimated how many people live in them. It's kind of controversial. It throws the numbers off quite a bit. So I'll just wait to see. And hopefully next month I will have an update. They still are not breaking out any of the cities in Los Angeles. So because I do have raw numbers, I'll find out if I can report that out and if they're going to give me multipliers on that. But they're still saying that they don't want to drill down to that level because it's too skewed. But just looking at numbers for LA City is like too big. Other cities in the county are able to have their numbers, like Torrance. And so anyway, sorry, I forgot to include that in the report.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions? Okay, go ahead.
When you
Cynthia?
said that they put a multiplier on the RVs, does that?
Could you use the mic, please?
Yeah. When you said they put a multiplier on the RV population or people in the RV, does that mean that it's going to skew it up or skew it down?
It will most likely skew it up because there's usually more than one person. But what was really odd was in last year's numbers, one of the multipliers had 0.5, and I'm just still trying to figure out how they have half a person in a vehicle, which just makes me question these numbers even more.
It's like Diana's half cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's a city thing, I guess.
Any other questions around the table? Yeah, Tom?
I want to thank you for another excellent report. This one was chock full of information, but very concise. You did a really nice job. I did look at this one ahead of time and wanted to comment on the last page. I looked at it in detail and went over a couple times. I was disappointed to see Dominguez Hills is only select Thursdays each month without a time. And I guess I wanted to share a little bit of information. We've been doing some advocacy in the university with Assembly Member Corey Jackson, who has a bill before, or at least he's trying to get a bill through. I'm not sure of the status now, but his intention a month ago was every community college and every CSU would have a parking lot designated for students experiencing homelessness that have a car in Long Beach. Community college listed here as really an exemplar, how they have Wi-Fi, they make bathrooms and things available. So just for our area, thinking about LA Harbor, that might be something that comes, right to our community, and something I've been advocating in Dominguez Hills as well. So just wanted to thank you for, looking at that. I've had a student, who I've shared, who was a San Pedro resident who spent a year and a half looking for Section 8. My kids, it matter, it really is challenging. And when I first started teaching 17 years ago, the number of my students who experienced food insecurity was the first thing that we became aware of and we're better at dealing with. But now housing insecurity. And the other thing I wanted to share is we've now renamed it the Immigrant Justice Center. Even those that are having issues there, we have a dedicated office that is open most days from about 9 to 5 to deal with paperwork issues. So, just kind of it's not a very good question, but just wanted to kind of riff on what you're doing. Thank you for this. And if there's anything else that comes to mind and how my university can partner with our community, be very all ears.
I appreciate that. If we had a LASA team of document specialists and you had that phone number to call, not only does it save the person the aggravation of being told, oh, no, not us, go there, go here, go there, the organizations that are having to field way too many calls because we don't have a direct point. There are still some people that are uncomfortable or opposed to having safe parking on college campuses. They just think it's just, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just not dignified. Okay, but yes, something is better than nothing. If they are in their car, at least they can be safe. And you might want to reach out to this Hasim Crouch on there and see why they're only meeting one day. It's a new program. Maybe you can request more days for the program. And thank you for the work you're doing there, Thomas, to help people. I appreciate it.
Any other questions from around the table? Any questions from the audience? No? Okay.
Thank you.
That's
Lori.
great. Again, I just got to say that I've seen Lori in action, especially at the CD15 working group, and I can't tell you how impressed I am with the knowledge that she comes to the table with, the desire to, if she doesn't know something, she will find out, and the fact that I think we have the best liaison in the whole city. So thank you so much for that.
I appreciate that. Let's not forget that people are dying out there.
Yeah, yep. Exactly. And I also want to maybe remind you that those experiencing homelessness in our Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council are our constituents also. So we have to keep them in mind when we're doing the work that we do. So I just kind of want to remind everybody of that. I see a hand fly up.
Speaking of shelter, the summer is starting to ratchet up, and you were talking about cooling centers. Do we have information on all of the places that people can go, whether it's seniors or somebody who is housed and doesn't have air conditioning, to someone who is unhoused?
So I'm a commissioner on the Climate Emergency Mobilization Commission, which oversees a lot of the information on the cooling center. So every library, I believe there's 73, but 71 active library is supposed to be a cooling center. Here in San Pedro, the extreme heat is not as much of a problem. Unfortunately, their next commission meeting is next week, and I'll be on vacation with my Girl Scouts, but I'll get a report. They are looking to try and beef up cooling centers. Just like in extreme winter weather, they have these winter shelters. And I've brought up to the commission before, why don't you just call them extreme weather centers, whether it be heat, rain, heavy winds or whatever. But I'll see if I can get information besides the library. I imagine if you go to the website of the Climate Emergency Mobilization Commission, they have information on cooling centers on the site.
Okay. Thank you for the report. I believe that will end agenda item number 3, our liaison report. So we're going to move on to agenda item number 4, which is our elected governmental and public safety representatives. I see a couple here and also our public safety people. So can we start off with the mayor's office? And Jocelyn, thank you for being here tonight.
Hello, good evening, board members. First, I just want to start by saying thank you, and I know Lori already mentioned it, but thank you so much to all of you that were able to come by to the neighborhood gathering to meet with the mayor and engage in a meaningful discussion with her. Thank you to Yolanda and Ray Regalado for hosting her at Sirens. It was a wonderful event, and the mayor absolutely loved it. Our team is working diligently to make sure that this isn't the last time that we have something like this, and to make sure that we continue to have them not just in San Pedro but across the harbor. So as we make progress on that, I will keep you informed, and I will be prioritizing follow-up from that gathering. So if you did have a question, I will be contacting you just to make sure that our office follows up with you and we get you the answer that we can. And then also, I just wanted to remind you that tomorrow is our webinar. The mayor will be meeting with neighborhood council members. You all should have received an email. So as long as your email with the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment is active or accurate, you should have received an email. If not, I did send out an email myself and ask that you just share with your fellow board members. But please RSVP, submit your questions in advance to make sure that we can get to it. It is going to be tomorrow at 6 p.m. And this is just for you to provide your input to the mayor on what you would like to see from the new chief of police. And just to let you know, we have been having other gatherings like this as well. We're just trying to get as much input as possible from our Angelinos. And we do have actually the agency that we contract that kind of help us with the national search for the new chief of police. They're present collecting that data to make sure that all the input that we get is put into the criteria when we're looking for our new chief of police. And I do believe our new general manager, Carmen Chang, will be on the webinar as well, just to introduce herself and say hello. And then other than that, I did want to just let you all know that because we are in summer and we know that school is concluding, if it hasn't already, it will soon. So that means we need to make sure that our youth are engaged and staying busy during the summer. So the city will be having a youth expo on June 25th. It's going to be taking place at LA Trade Tech College. So any youth between the ages of, I believe, 14 to 25 are welcome to attend. It's going to be between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. And again, that's at LA Trade Tech College. Now, if you're not able, because I know that's far from here, from us folks, but if you're not able to attend or your youth can't attend, I just want to remind you that we do have youth source centers in the city. We have one here in the harbor, and you can also check out hirelaYouth.com. They are able to connect our youth with not just internships, but paid internships, help them with building their resumes and their skills, help them with job hunting. So we just want to make sure that our youth are staying engaged during the summer. But these resources are always available year-round as well. So just wanted to share that with you all. But other than that, that's it, unless there's any questions.
Okay, well, let's open them up. Tom?
Yes.
Thank you. It was wonderful work you did in the meeting with the mayor, and just wanted to follow up even more on the question I had, or the suggestion on looking at Cal Maritime. I think the Monday after the meeting, the chancellor's office and the board actually had a meeting for Cal State, and they're planning to integrate Cal Maritime into San Luis Obispo. Because of the huge enrollment drop up in the northern area, and given and I've spoken to some people at the Port of Los Angeles, so just wanted to renew the mayor's consideration of maybe the Port of Los Angeles might want to engage with the Chancellor Garcia, who Mayor Bass is familiar with, sooner rather than later, seeing if there's an opportunity to serve those in LA that want to go into maritime but don't want to relocate up to Vallejo. This might be a really, really good time to look at that, because I think the president's job's not going to be filled, the provost, and I think it'd be a shame for the state of California, for Los Angeles. Though San Luis Obispo is a great place, it's also the most exclusive of the CSUs. It's grad season, so I've seen how many people get in. Long Beach, California, LA, Dominguez Hills are much more open, and I think it'd be a better fit for a lot of the future maritime folks. So just wanted you to know that I had wind that there was discussion that, but I didn't know it would actually start moving as quickly as it did. So wanted
Yes, and I did receive your question and comments, so I will be following up with you. I think it's best if I connect you with our team of economic opportunity, because they're the ones that work with the universities. So I think they'd be more of a resource than I would. So I'll connect you. Thank you.
Any other questions from around the table? John.
Can you kind of elaborate to everybody here what she said about with LAUSD and with property that they have and stuff, what they were looking to do?
I don't have my notes in front of me, so I'm not able to reference what was said. Can you elaborate a little bit?
Was that?
Yeah, I remember she said there's places because you got some teachers, some that are homeless there, but they're working, and you got students also, but they got extra property around.
That was up on the hill, right?
Yeah, I think there was a mention about building some districts are taking the initiative to build their own housing for their staff and teachers who are finding it difficult to, meet the needs of cost of living here in the city. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Any other questions or comments? If I can, I really want to thank the mayor for coming down. I hope you convey that to us, because sometimes we feel down this part of town we might be forgotten, or we may not get our voices heard. But on the first, that was no one could deny the fact that we had a good dialogue going with the mayor, and I, along with others that I've heard, were so impressed. That's how she was there taking notes, and she was there answering every single question that was presented to her, and that doesn't mean that she had the answer for every single question, but most definitely she acknowledged, and coming back with answers is definitely on the agenda also. She did indicate that there will be some additional meetings down in CD15.
Yes. So, and thank you, because definitely I know that the harbor can sometimes feel distant, and forgotten. So thank you for mentioning that. But please know that you are not forgotten, and we actually have things already in place. So you will be seeing the mayor a lot more here down in the harbor. We want to make sure that we are engaging with all of our constituents down here, and then also just as an update, the mayor actually just onboarded an additional person to her team who will serve as the senior advisor for our district. So making sure that all the top issues and concerns are being relayed directly with her, and just having, additional support to make sure that we're here to meet your needs.
It was really nice to have her down here, and we're really looking forward to seeing her some more. Thank you so much for everything that you do, Jocelyn. So I also see another city representative that walked in, Octaviano, from Department of Neighborhood Empowerment.
Folks, sorry I was late. Some personal business to attend to. So, Lori, sorry I missed your report if I gave it earlier. I'm sure it was a good one, as always. And I can start with that. I wasn't able to go to the homelessness liaison gathering that the department hosted not so long ago. But Lori reports back that it was fantastic, so that means something. And we, from what I'm told, we had a few staff there also providing some support and a countless number of liaisons. From what I'm told, it's record-breaking from the past appointments. So congratulations to the neighborhood councils, and thank you for appointing your homeless liaison to attend that gathering. And hopefully more of many, and as substantive and thoughtful and resourceful for all of our liaisons to our neighborhood council. So thanks, Lori, for attending. As you heard, we now have a new general manager by the name of Carbon Chang. She started last week, I believe, Friday, and we still have Vanessa Serrano, who served as our interim general manager, and we'll keep you updated as to any changes with her role and any changes with anybody else's role. We sometimes have folks move on, and that impacts or take some leave, and that impacts some of the services that we provide to our neighborhood councils, sometimes to the tune of getting reassigned and shuffled around among the 99 neighborhood councils, which happened in the last few weeks with me. But you won't be affected here for now, so I'll keep you posted on that. So if you get a chance, and hopefully she'll make her rounds in person or virtually, Carmen Chang, our new general manager, please welcome her. Send her an email. I know she's being very responsive now. I'm sure that'll slow down as she gets a lot of emails that she can handle. So be patient with any responses. But of course, she has her team made up of us under her. So expect a response from directors and from NEAs and the administrative staff. And I believe this was mentioned, the mayor's feedback session for the new chief of police. I know that I checked my email today, and that email was sent out. So if anybody has a problem or a challenge opening that, so let me know. We definitely would love to have our neighborhood councils well represented here. Public safety is obviously a very important topic all across the city of Los Angeles. So picking the right leader for our department, for our police department, is going to be very important. So that's going to start at 6 tomorrow, and there's a link. I registered myself in a very painless process, so I encourage you all to do that. And then last but not least, if you didn't read your emails last week, I'll update you of the June 3rd deadline to do those additional trainings that are required for the neighborhood council and our board members, extended from June 3rd to July 1st. So I was one of the folks that was busy advocating for a deadline extension. Many folks were experiencing some tech issues. Well beyond waiting for before waiting in the last minute to do their trainings. People were experiencing it 2 weeks before the deadline, and so I was busy sharing some of that sentiment, and our staff was really busy the last 2 weeks trying to troubleshoot. So I think that outcry was well understood, and so it reflected with an extension. Not too much of an extension, so if you haven't done it, please do so. And we have quite a few folks that haven't done the trainings, unfortunately. I know Victor had a few questions still pending, which we'll try to address with some meetings with leadership on how some of the conflicts between our expected deadlines and also what some neighborhood councils have been very explicit in wanting newly appointed board members to do their deadlines by. So if there's conflicts there, we'll get some wording in there for all of our neighborhood councils. Some of our neighborhood councils' bylaws are silent, so I'm not sure how that's going to reflect. And I was going back and forth with Tom earlier today about how we can be a little bit more explicit with and in clear with these expectations on when these trainings need to be done by, well after the deadline has passed and folks are appointed after that. So I think that's it on my end, Mr. Chair. One final thing, the NC funding deadline that I wanted to share for the City Clerk's Office. The last one to take into account is June 20th, which is the final date to make a purchase with your neighborhood council bank card. And Melanie, I'm sure you're well aware of that deadline, so thank you for being on top of that. So that's it on my end, unless you have any.
All right. Thank you, Octaviano. And I just let me say that I can't tell you how much I enjoyed having to do the training. And seriously,
okay.
And really, I can't tell you how much I.
Well, look, I enjoyed it because it was very informative. Is it long? Yes, it's a little lengthy.
So anyway,
thank you.
And I'm glad you extended it because I think we all needed it.
Grateful.
So we have any questions from around the table? I do see a couple hands up. So let's start with Victor and then Melanie.
Since the deadline is now July 1st, and we need to know, all NCs need to know how their bylaws are going to change and what takes precedence in certain areas, when are you going to have that done? Because we need time before July 1st, and I would say at least 2 weeks minimum, to see what the changes are in our bylaws and how it affects the training, and then what to tell our members, regarding whatever those changes might be. So after the fact, meaning after July 1st, is not really acceptable. So when are we going to know what changes are going to be forced upon us, essentially, in our bylaws to, relating to the training?
So I won't make a commitment as to date because I don't have one because it comes from the top down. But I can tell you that staff is really working hard despite some of the shortages to generate the finalized drafts for those that did submit bylaw amendments. You all didn't this year, but despite that, I think we're going to look at all 99 neighborhood councils bylaws with that in mind. And this week I'll do my part to echo those sentiments that we need to get that out sooner than later. Even if we don't have that inserted on our end for you all, at least have some verbiage that we can enforce with your partnership, of course, to have folks understand when they newly appointed board members after July 1st need to complete their required trainings. So that's a long way around. So no final date as of yet, Victor.
Melanie? Oh.
So when they sent out the thing about the new head of DUN, the woman introducing her and all that, it was going out to all neighborhood council members. And I got an email in my neighborhood council email. But then I turned around and got the same email in my personal email. And I'm like, I'm trying to avoid getting any type of neighborhood council correspondence in my personal email because then it opens it up to public records, as you know. And so I'm like, why are they sending this to my personal email? Why aren't they just keeping it to what's registered on the Imperial A site of my neighborhood council email?
So this is the first I hear that we've used personal, non-public emails, and of course we have them.
You have it for secondary to get a hold of me.
Right, we have them, but we don't share them.
Because the treasurer, sometimes if you have to get a hold of me, then you have that if my other email isn't working.
Right, so the best I can tell you right now, Melanie, is I'll share that important feedback to our admin staff to see what happened in that communication process. Because we were only supposed to be using
only the neighborhood council email, I would think.
Correct, yeah.
Alrighty.
Thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
Any other questions from around the table? I don't see any hands. So how about from the audience? Any questions? No? Okay.
One short one. When is the Congress going to be again?
Oh, shoot. I knew the
November?
dates. I don't have anybody else know the date.
What was the question?
The Congress of Neighborhoods. There's a set date.
It's usually September.
September 21st. Okay.
Thank you.
I heard it verbally. I haven't seen any kind of written announcement yet. So.
If it's September 21st, that's kind of a problem. It's actually September 28th. Because purpose is the day, but all it's the 28th.
Okay. Okay. Congress of Neighborhood, just newly set. Thank you. Thank you, Lori.
I'm hoping that we'll have a really good attendance at the Congress. It's usually pretty good. So don't
Good
forget
food
to
and good
register
company.
when it's ready, and they serve great food.
I have a question.
Yes.
So are we talking about training, code of conduct? I mean, I just finished that like a couple of months ago. Rebooting that, redoing that? Is that what I'm gathering at?
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
Are we doing more code of conduct testing and?
Oh no! So let me clarify in case you missed the announcement. So the code of conduct is an older training, but it got amended in February, and it wasn't until recently that the department asked all neighborhood council board members to redo it, to acknowledge it with the changes.
So mine was after February, so I'm probably current then on the.
So you should be current, but we can check on that. You should be getting an email if you're not current.
I got
and I don't know
Victor's
exactly where the cutoff was.
Yeah, I got Victor's email and I have it here, and it goes into quite some length. I just wanted for
So
clarity
Victor's
for me.
excellent at being on top of things, but he's only human.
No, I got that. I'm just saying.
So that's why he works with us to try to get all these clarifications down. So
Yeah,
thank you, Victor, for always working with us on that. So.
Okay. All right. He does a better job. I'll be on the lookout.
All right.
Okay. Anything else? All right. I think that's it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm sorry. There was one thing I did want to mention. In all seriousness, I'm hoping that perhaps we do get an opportunity to meet the new general manager, and that perhaps she will find her way down to the south end and talk to us and say hello and do a good listening tour. I think that would be really
It'd be
good
nice
for
for
her.
you to just kind of bring her here to a meeting when you're talking.
There you go. Well, if there's an opportunity for me to advocate for that, absolutely. And I know folks have feedback on what a good listening session is, so feel free to share them with me, and I'll be an open communication with at least with my direct link to Carmen. I won't be too forward just yet.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Ray.
All right. Thank you, Octaviana. I have a report from our CD15 representative, but I will do it right after our public safety. No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
All righty. Hello, everybody. Officer Baloney, the Senior Lead Officer for Northwest San Pedro. So I do apologize. There is a new system that we are using as a department it's called our Advanced Record Management System. So it's a way we report to stay in compliance with federal law. Basically, our whole system just got redone, and so I don't have the normal percentages, etc. The people who track all that stuff are having a nightmare of a time right now, and weren't exactly the happiest of people to speak with. But I do have some numbers. And so totals for Northwest San Pedro for May of 2024, we had 2 homicides, we had 7 robberies, 12 aggravated assaults, 12 burglaries, 23 grand theft autos, 8 burglary theft from motor vehicles, 14 thefts, and a total of about 79 crimes in all. She did advise me, the lady that does all the numbers and stuff, that some Some crimes are counted multiple times due to now we have to split up the way they are tracked by numbers. So some are counted twice almost. So it again is a work in progress, and I apologize greatly for the lack of transparency, if you will. But that is literally the best I could do with the numbers right now. I could break them down. She was able to provide some more details. So the robberies weren't like a handgun and purse snatching or anything like that. They were Estes robberies, so like a beer run, if you will. So like some physical force was put upon somebody as they were leaving like a store or something. The aggravated assault, again, one location did have 2 incidents, 5 shots fired with 4 victims hit, and 1 was gang related. 3 domestic violence, 1 was neighbor related. Occurring at nighttime in RDs 555, 557. The burglaries were 11 non-residential and 1 residential. 1 location was hit 5 times. Usually the smashed window was the point of entry. Again, this was happening in the morning hours, early morning hours, and this was in RD 521 and RD 557. The Grand Theft Autos, the most taken car was the Dodge, Infinitis, and Toyotas, and usually it's on Tuesdays there was 6, and Mondays and Fridays there was 5 total. Again, morning hours, early morning hours. The burglary theft for motor vehicles, there was 8 total again, and 2 of those were unlocked or unsecured vehicles, and property taken was like tablets, laptops, high value items that were left inside the vehicle. With the thefts, 2 locations were hit twice. Packages were 2, shoplifting 6. Early morning hours, late PM as well. And RDs 521 and 541 and 557. So again, that's the best I can kind of do with the numbers, and it's even difficult for me to view the reports and see the arrests now, and it's a very convoluted and a very big learning curve, I will say this. So please be patient. To elaborate a little bit more, a double homicide occurred at the Santa Cruz and Myler. I spoke to our homicide detectives. There was a dispute between 2 parties. They don't have any further at this time. It's under investigation. But it was not motivated by gang violence or anything. It was more so a dispute between 2 people. And it unfortunately had the ending that it did. In other news, I have been a very busy person with events. I feel like I'm doing a lot of events lately, but I can't complain. So we had the Fleet Week. We had a great time with Dad. We had the boat rides and all that good stuff. I did a coffee with a cop on, I think it was May 28th at a Starbucks. I'll try to do that quarterly. So I would like people to come out and ask questions, invite your neighbors, etc. It's a great time for people to just kind of get resources and speak to a local cop about what's going on. I'm usually pretty honest. Then we did the Italian American run. I was at the LA Pride Parade yesterday. Both great events. Very fun. The upcoming events that we do have the CPAB, which is the Community Police Advisory Board, on June 20th here, at Harbor Station, the community room at 6 p.m. Again, I think that's a really good, venue for people to go and gain some education. And then we also have a San Pedro Town Hall on June 27th at 6 p.m. Right here at Peck Park. I think that's an extremely good thing for people to attend because that kind of allows people to speak what's on their mind and ask other entities like DOT, CHP, Caltrans, a whole bunch of entities are going to be there, and the LAPD is usually carrying everybody's weight, but this is a time that maybe that they got to kind of answer for some of the stuff that's going on and what their policies are. So I highly advise people to kind of go out there and just ask questions. And a side note too, from the Fleet Week and the boat rides that we did, I spoke with the captain or the driver of the boat, if you will, and we're trying to get together boat rides for children. So like schools or the Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts, anything, where you guys have a group of children. Each boat can take like 20, and we're trying to get a few rides going for summertime. So if you know of anybody or a group or some children or something like that that can get a list going and get things going. I'm trying to network right now and get ahead of it. I went to the Boys and Girls Club and they said they don't do boat rides or in the water, and I was like, what? It's a fun day. So, but I would like to do it. The Maritime Unit would like to do it, and I think it's just a really good thing for kids to kind of see. If they don't have an opportunity to go on a boat, they get to see San Pedro from afar in the water and spend time with some police officers. So just please reach out to me via email or phone number. And if you need my information, I could just reach out to me and I'll be able to help you out with that one. So I appreciate it much.
That's great. Thank you.
Did you raise your hand?
So, any questions? Yeah, Craig?
July 4th.
Okay.
We're not having fireworks, are we?
So there was I wasn't at the meeting, but what I heard is this is what I heard. It's not in concrete, but it's going to be what's it called? A drone show. Mm-hmm. So that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
No, what are you guys?
It's not until the 6th, though. It's not going to be on the 4th of July.
My question is, what are your plans?
What are my plans?
Our
barbecue.
It's easy to run you.
That's good. I have the same plan.
Yeah.
How is the
I've seen
Harbor Division doing on fireworks suppression?
So they served a warrant at a location in Gardena that was a seller to the Wilmington area and possibly down here in San Pedro. I don't know the specifics, but it was, I think, like 2,300 pounds of fireworks. So they're doing what they can, and I'm pretty sure, like, what the captain was saying at the last CCAB was apparently that one little bus took up 1/3 of the entire city's storage for fireworks. So
Why don't we just use the fireworks?
I'm sorry.
Why don't we just use the evidence?
Well, if I was in charge, why not? But apparently there's some disposal and all these regulations and all this stuff. But they are definitely working on it. The best advice is obviously identify which house it's coming from, especially early, and then we have our vice unit, et cetera, that can help. So we just pass the info along. The sooner we nip it in the bud, the better. So July 4th isn't a madhouse. That's my best advice. So then see what house they're running into after they're hiding.
It's already started.
Yeah.
And
yeah. No, indeed.
I got a dog that's just way sensitive to it and chewed through a solid wood door. My other question is, and I saw they put out, the people are getting cameras, which I had figured out a while back. It was very easy to do. I do a lot of work with the cameras. What is the police department working on? It's not just, that people can put a camera out and stick it in the bushes, but it's much easier to fly a drone around.
Yeah, that's
one. And I know there's certain police departments I was reading about. New Orleans that have been testing out procedures. Are we doing stuff? Because, this is when we had the big robberies up in Tarragona and all that, I was and one was across the street from me, my neighbor's house, and I says, how are they seeing in there? How are they, they're on the side of the hill, how do they walk up there? And then it dawned on me, after seeing everything that's been happening in the wars, drones.
Yeah.
And, police usually seem to be behind the curve on this stuff. So, are you guys getting up on it, or?
Well, I'm not aware. I'm sure our SWAT team or something, they have all those nifty tools in terms of us utilizing any of that. We don't have any training or certifications to do that, if that answers your question. But in regards to I think when you talk about the home burglaries and stuff with the cameras that people are putting in people's lawns. So obviously report that, and then they might book the camera for see if they could see who's doing it and stuff. But what was your question?
Well, basically, all this electronics, Wi-Fi cameras, stuff like that. This is stuff that usually, there was a while back where there was cameras put up and the police just had nobody watching them and stuff like that. Now, we see that we've got.
Like around the city you're talking about.
Well, no, I'm talking about right now, this is a problem. It's not just these cameras you guys found out. This was something, but they can be using. I mean, I was sitting there thinking, oh, what could they do? They can sit up here at Peck Park, fly a drone around, set it down on somebody's up in a tree and watch houses.
Yeah. Well, that is a tactic that they are using.
Yeah, and I mean, but are you guys coming up with tactics to work?
Well, we don't have anything to be there, or else we wouldn't allow the burglary to occur. I would say, but we just gather as much evidence as possible. Like for me, I installed a security camera on my system, and literally a week later, I had somebody walk onto my property and go through my bush. So I look for cameras in my bush, but. In terms, like, we would just download, like, anything else an investigation would occur. They look for evidence, download anything that they have or surveillance. But there's nothing that we have to prevent, like, drone use or anything like that. If that answers your question.
It's whatever. Yes.
Okay, I apologize.
It's not. No, I was. That's something that if you're not looking at.
No, for sure. No,
we need to start advocating to say.
Yeah.
This is something that we need to be protected against this kind of incursions, and it's in your bailiwick.
What I always tell people is, always, fortify or secure your property. Like I'm sure you do. You probably have surveillance cameras, etc. You're aware, motion sensors, lighting.
A scared dog.
That's what is always best. Your neighborhood watch program, your neighbors, get to know them, utilize them, and then hopefully nothing occurs, right? And then if it does, then you'll be there, or etc. After the fact investigation. So. But we don't have anything currently, like in the time of it occurring, to stop it. I would say, like we don't have any trackers or anything for that.
No, it's come. I was. By the time 911 calls and my neighbor's house, somebody was breaking into my neighbor's house, and police officers showed up. It was approximately 35 minutes. They were already gone 17 minutes. I live less than half a mile from the police station.
Yeah.
So these are questions that the criminals know this.
Yeah.
They knew when they were breaking into the house how long it was take, and they were probably running a clock for you guys to respond. So they're at a different level, and they probably had lookouts to see, did you leave the police station?
They probably knew where the police cars were.
So
they probably have scanners. They probably maybe watch or case the house. They do their homework, I would say now. So
and this is the thing that it's moved to a different level.
Yeah.
It's sophisticated. It's not something you're going to catch by patrolling the area.
Yeah.
It's something that's at a higher level.
Yeah.
I have like you're saying, I have cameras all over my house. So.
Thank you. Melanie had her hand up.
On what Craig was saying, one of the things that one of the SLOs brought up at last CPAB was you have to be aware of what's around in your property and your surroundings. Looking constantly of any changes or anything that might have come up that somebody has placed on your property or in vicinity of your property. There was an incident in the Harbor City area where somebody you've got technology in the trail cameras, that these trail cameras can be put up with booster Wi-Fi on them and put anywhere on a tree or anywhere else. And somebody had one of those placed at their side yard watching their front door when they were coming and going. So that's where you come in to be cognizant of what's going on around you, aware of your surroundings, aware of your home, aware of everything around you, because there are people that are that cutthroat and that desperate to get into your place that are going to do stuff like that. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Once I saw the person walking my driveway and going to my bush, I, got a rake and I started the whole thing for see if he dropped the camera on. Yep. I was like, this guy.
Gwen?
on the flip side, they do sell those on the market, actual trail cams that you can pay for through AT&T or Verizon. I have two that I'm going to use for the opposite, which is security in a location where it is not near my Wi-Fi. In regards to, I remember a very strong program that began with LAPD where they were encouraging people to get various app-related security cameras around their properties, and that it could be connected with LAPD. Can we find out more about that, and is that still very robust?
So it's still in the beginning stage. I think one of the things is called Flock, but we're not allowed to sponsor a thing. But I think that was one that the city was working with, or the department. So definitely, you can go online, you can figure it out in regards to which companies are working with the city of Los Angeles, and then you can then purchase the cameras with that company, and then notify the police department, and there's some setup system to it, and then LAPD will basically, yes, they will have access to the camera. You're basically giving consent to LAPD, without the warrants and all that stuff, to say, hey, yes, we need to access this camera. A crime occurred over here. We would like to view it, and all that good stuff. So yes, it's still in the beginning, I would say, but it is available.
Are those LP readers or regular cameras?
No, regular surveillance cameras for your home.
You purchase it?
Like surveillance cameras for your home, 360 degrees, whatever you want, your front door. And basically, it LAPD can bypass the whole, personal rights and et cetera, because you signed that consent form and they're part of the contract. It's a good thing, or if you'd like to have your privacy, that's fine too. It's just a possibility.
All right.
Okay.
No other hands. So, any questions from the audience? I don't see any hands. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to quickly go through the report that I got from Drew, who was unable to make it today. So I'll go through it, but I do want to focus on one aspect of it in a second, and that is, let's start off with Western Avenue in multimodal project. Many of you may know, but if you don't, that Caltrans will be doing some major work on Western from 25th Street all the way up to the 405, and it's going to be quite extensive. So they're going to have a public virtual meeting on Wednesday, June 12th, from 6 to 7, to inform the South Bay residents about this project. And if you want to join in, there is a website here, and I'll make sure that we get that so that it'll be published. You already did? Okay, great. So there you go. Thank you, Cheryl. Always on top of it. So another thing that they're talking about is that on June 13th, which is Thursday, at Los Angeles Harbor College, there will be an expungement clinic. So it's in partnership with Time Done. So if you know anyone who could use this service to expunge one's record, then it's available. And it will be from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the Student Union. There will be free parking at the west parking lot structure. And it is for those people who need it. It's really a good service for people who need that service. I think someone had mentioned earlier about the library upgrades. They are currently being done, and they are getting close to finishing. But they will continue the upgrades around the library during the course of the week. On June 15th, there will be 2 events for our community in San Pedro, and we'll start off with the Juneteenth celebration. that's going to be here at Peck Park, and it's going to go from 10 to 6 p.m. If you haven't done this, it's really quite informative, a lot of historical value to it, and it can be pretty quite fun. The other thing that's going to happen on Saturday on the 13th is from 11 to 2 on the corner of 7th and Mesa. This happens to be around a coffee house there.
Right.
They are going to be dedicating first responders public safety square, and it's going to be for those public safety responders, first responders. There's going to be a plaque there for those, and there'll be some ongoing memorials that will go on there, because we have lost some very important people in our lives with our first responder, fire, law enforcement, and military. So this public square will now be dedicated for those individuals who have given their lives, who continue to give, provide services for our community. So that'll be at 402 West 7th Street. It's going to have a resource fair also, the CERT training. There'll be fire department there doing kind of exhibitions and things like that. Law enforcement will be there. So it's going to be pretty good. It'll be something that I think people will really enjoy. And then from there, you can go over to Peck Park and celebrate Juneteenth with them. I have a couple of flyers here in case anyone is interested. Do you have a question specific to that?
Specific. I'm really bummed that everything's on the 15th, because that day also is budget day in downtown LA for the 15th. So and that goes from 7 in the morning until...
Blame it on the city council.
Yeah.
They're the ones that say, yes, this is the day it's going to happen.
7 a.m. until 3, I think.
You got to go.
Huh?
Yeah, I got to go.
So anyway, that's that. And the last item that I want to talk about specifically is a very important day coming up on the 13th of June. And it's going to be here at 6 o'clock, and that is the second and last opportunity for everyone to provide input publicly about the bridge project, the Vincent Thomas Bridge project. That is going to be, if you don't know, it's going to be huge in our community. I'm sorry?
Flyers on the table.
Right. There are flyers on the table and things like that. But the important part is that Caltrans needs to hear your concerns. And because there is a draft EIR out there right now, they are obligated to include those concerns and answer your concerns as part of the document.
Yeah.
So you can come out here on that particular day if you haven't had the opportunity to read the draft EIR. It's really an interesting read. I think it'll keep you up at night. I think it's something like, 500 pages or something like that. So the big thing is going to be how it impacts traffic, and a lot of that traffic is going to be impacted in Wilmington. They're doing a lot of Caltrans is asking people to use PCH, use Sepulveda, use Harry Bridges, I believe is the other street.
There's
and besides the bridge. So there is plenty of opportunity for people to comment. The community of Wilmington is going to be hit hard with this. I mean, they are going to be hit hard because they already get hit hard with a lot of cargo container transportation going through those streets. So we have to make sure that Wilmington is, that we partner with Wilmington to ask Caltrans to start letting people know way before the project starts, which will be sometime in 2025. And the project will last anywhere from 1 year all the way up to maybe 4 years, depending on the option they take to do the construction. And the community has an opportunity to weigh in as to how they want to do the construction, or at least the options in their construction. They will explain it on Thursday. Be here. It's really important. Become informed so that you can help your community make a good decision as to how we want this to happen. Because Caltrans up front, although they were really telling us how great they were in going and doing public outreach, when they had their scoping meeting, I think I've said this story before, when they went out and they had thousands, they claim, of people or flyers going out in the community via mail, media releases and things like that. Their first meeting that occurred in Wilmington, they got an overwhelming amount of people, which amounted to 4 members of the community were there. So that kind of tells you that perhaps maybe their outreach isn't that great. So we have to help them understand how we feel. So the last your last opportunity to hear about the project, and you can ask questions and share your concerns, will be on the 13th, which is Thursday, from 6 to 7:30, I think. Vic wanted to say a thing about it also.
A quick question. When do you know what the time frame of the Western Avenue work is?
Yes, it is.
Or the expected time frame?
Let's see. Caltrans. I'm not sure that they actually have a date as to when it's going to start, but they're starting to do the public comments. Have you heard? Because they're not identifying. I got this from.
This says 1025.
I have one from Caltrans, and they didn't say anything. I have one from Caltrans. And
Are you sure that's Western?
Yeah, it's.
Is that the Western?
Oh, Western. I
This
was looking
is
at
the
Vincent
Western.
Thomas.
No, Western.
I mean, I don't remember.
Well, the reason I was wondering about that is because whenever the bridge work starts, even if the incoming and outcoming traffic to and from San Pedro doesn't divert officially up to Western, chances are at least the local traffic will.
Yeah.
And so if they try to double up on getting the work done simultaneously, that is going to cause even more chaos than it already will with just the bridge or just the Western Avenue work. So when people are looking at the draft DIR and considering the options to tell Caltrans what they think, consider that, because, in my opinion, the shorter option is the best option. But even more so when you've got these two things going on at once and traffic is going to back up all over the place.
Yeah, wasn't that brought up online when we went to
I don't think the Western Avenue work was.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. But I think.
But it will. They will each affect the other.
Your point is well taken, because along with Western Avenue, there are 15 other projects that will occur in the general area at the same time that the Vincent Thomas Bridge will. And
some of those are supposed to be done by by 25, but other ones go out to 30 and 31 and 27 or 8, I think, or something like that.
The thing that they do not talk about even in this map is the fact that there will be ongoing events that Wilmington, Harbor City, and San Pedro will be happening, including Olympic practice and things like that will occur here in our area. So there are all sorts of different things that happen. I mean, look what happens when we have Fleet Week. We had thousands and thousands of people. Fleet Week will happen during the course of these things. So this won't even take up what events are happening in our community.
Even regular.
Yeah, during Fleet Week, I was down on Harbor Boulevard. Normally I would just take a straight shot along Harbor Boulevard, and I took off and went up farther because Harbor Boulevard is packed.
Yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to mention is I just saw an article in the paper yesterday where Long Beach and Carson have signed up for Olympic venues. And especially with the Long Beach one being right on the other side of the bridge, essentially, if the bridge is not done by the time the Olympics start or even the pre-planning leading up to it, that's going to cause problems on both sides. Well, it already will on both sides, but it'll be even more for the Olympics. So that's another reason to get it done quicker, to have everything ready. And we all know whatever the schedule is, it's going to take longer because that's the way things go. So there are multiple things, like Ray showed on the map there. There's a list of things there. There's the Western Avenue work. There's the bridge work, some of which is happening or will happen simultaneously by the schedule. So it is going to be really chaotic.
So if I can just say, to be able to provide good, informed comments to Caltrans, you really need to be at this meeting here on the 13th, thank you. So that you can become informed, so that you can provide your input. Now, public comment will last until July 15th. That is when it ends. That's the last day for public comment for this thing. CD15 will have a letter going out talking about many of the things that we have met with them during the course of the project. I'm hoping that we could take that letter and also support it when it comes out, and it will be out after this meeting on the 13th. I'm hoping that there will be people internally, in our neighborhood council who will also provide comment, because I would like to also make sure that there is a letter coming from our neighborhood council to them. It's a big move. It's a lot of moving parts with this particular project, and it's going to impact us all. Even if you stay away from the bridge, you've never been over the bridge once, it will still impact you. It's going to be ugly. That's my opinion, but that's just the way it goes. Let me take a couple questions. Gwen, you had or comments. You had your.
On top of this new thing with Western that is going to be worked on this entire time, do not forget that Rancho San Pedro is going to be developed, and they have a whole series of things that are happening around the roads over there. The community is concerned about the BTB bridge, about the rerouting, and also don't forget that West Harbor is supposed to open during this time, and that they have that whole idea of concerts and all sorts of other activities that will be coming in. So recognize that they're going to want a big grand opening and on top of all this other stuff. So if we can voice all these other things, but my question was, Ray, has the Chamber of Commerce put in some input? Has West Harbor Project put input in? Have any of them talked about the impacts on the commercial development?
They talk about it. I have not seen anything coming from either one of the two entities at this time yet.
Yes, but I hope that we, as our community, can talk about these things, especially about the intersections at Channel, Gaffey, LPG,
and
the railway.
Let me say that we can advocate for the chamber, for for West Harbor to put in comments, and I think they will eventually. But I think they need to hear us also. We may not be chamber members, but we certainly utilize all the chamber memberships out there. So,
and the last thing is that Ray already talked about Caltrans, that they've shown that there may be a problem with their outreach. One indicator of this whole project that I consider a really big warning sign is that there's only one flashing sign during that one little improvement of the bridge to keep people from going all the way up to the top. There was a sign there talking about the times that there could be closures till December 31st, 2023, and that sign kept flashing for another 3 months, and it stayed there for 3 months, flashing that last end date. So we can talk about the neglect of signage, of warnings, and that could go, and it really needs to go all the way up to the 405 and beyond. There needs to be communication on major signage all through the area.
Yeah.
Gwen, I have had numerous meetings with Caltrans, or been part of community advisory committee meetings with Caltrans twice a month with them since it's been now for about 6 months. No, I'm sorry, closer to 9 months. And I have, from the perspective of the community, I have asked Caltrans that they need to start identifying the project time before the people approach
Right.
the 105.
Yep.
And we all need to
Signage
agree
has
on
to
that.
be starting way
Yep.
at the 105.
Way up.
Alert people way ahead of time.
The 91 is another truck and commute
Yeah.
route.
So anyway, any other questions or comments? Yeah, John?
As you know, I talked about it with you. I got pictures and photos.
Right.
Because I travel both bridges every morning since November, back to work where I used to work off the west. And let me tell you something. I don't care what time of day it is. If they think only 8% of those truckers use those bridges, then I need to buy the stuff that they smoke, because it's got to be fantastic.
Yeah.
It does not. There are I'll show you pictures. I was going to put them on a slide and we can show them, but
Yep.
I'm telling you, I mean, it's just packed. And then sometimes I'm coming around the bridge when I'm coming around off the 710 back onto Desmond. They're lined up, the trucks. Just, and then the left, and then the northbound 710, it's nothing but truckers.
Right.
So if they think that, 92% of the car it's used by cars, no.
Please attend on the 13th. Be here, listen, and be prepared to ask questions or be prepared to make your comments. But don't be afraid to actually submit written comments, because every single comment that is made is an official inquiry, and it has to be included in the final EIR draft.
And
That's where they have to give an answer to those inquiries.
And
So
I hope
it's going to go down to the public.
And I hope those who aren't going to be speaking up at least be a body to fill this place. Fill this place
Tell
up.
everybody. Tell everyone you know, because it's going to affect everyone. All right. Enough of that. So I think we're through with item number 4. We're going to go on to consent calendar. We just have one item under the consent calendar, and that's to approve the meeting minutes of May 13th.
I move.
Okay. Melanie moves.
Second. Gwen.
Who was that? Gwen second. Any discussion, comments about the minutes?
I love these minutes. Love the bread.
I see no hands, so can we take a count? Vote count.
Can I go to visit you?
Okay, Joe McGraw.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Larry Eaton.
Yes.
Craig Goldfarb.
Abstain.
Cynthia Gagne.
Can I vote if I wasn't here last month? Can I vote if I wasn't here last month?
Yes, you can.
I still
Yes.
couldn't understand.
Yes.
Gwen Henry.
Yes.
Melanie LeBrecq.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Abby Norman. Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't understand.
Is there another Ray?
Yes. No, I didn't understand what you said.
Everybody point Ray out. So it was too easy.
Ray Regalado.
We're voting? You know, we're
Much
voting.
better. Much better.
Okay. And your vote is? Okay. Oh, boy.
Now I'd like to get the stuff that's
Oh my goodness.
Remember your anti-bias training.
No.
Ageism, okay?
We already
Okay, 10 ayes, 1 abstention.
All right. It has passed. Okay. we're through with 5. Let's go on to 6, and that's motions. Budget and Finance Committee is the first one up.
Okay. So page
10.
10. So this is the MER. We're broke, but yeah, anyway. This is not out of committee because it wasn't ready until the 7th from the city clerk's office. So I need someone to move this and then someone to
So
second.
moved. Gwen Henry.
Second, Norman. Thomas.
Second, Thomas. Okay, any discussion?
Are we going to have any rollover?
Possibly, yeah. About maybe 6,000.
Okay.
Mr. Regalado, you need to cash your checks
Yeah, I know.
so we can clean out fiscal year 2023-24.
Yeah.
I just
It won't be any good after June 30th.
And you got the other one now, too.
Must be nice.
Anyway, so any further discussion? Call for the vote. Thomas.
Aye.
John Barbera.
Aye.
Victor.
Aye.
Ray.
Yes.
Larry.
Yes.
Craig.
Yes.
Cynthia.
Aye.
Okay, Adam isn't here. Gwen.
Yes.
Melanie, yes. Kelly.
Yes.
And that is it. Next is the budget. This is our budget through May. This is out of committee. So any discussion? Call for the vote. Thomas.
Aye.
John Barbera.
Aye.
Victor.
Aye.
Ray.
Yes.
Larry.
Yes.
Craig.
Yes.
Cynthia.
Yes.
Gwen.
Yes.
Melanie, yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Okay. Next item. This is our new budget that will start in July. So we get 32,000. This is page 13. The first part of it is we get 32,000. We don't include the rollover in this until they give us the rollover, which will be about August, September time. So our office expenses are kind of expensive now. They're going up because, like, mailroom is $5,000 for the month. Minute taker's $3,600 because it's about $250 a meeting.
Oh my.
$3,300 for audio at $275 a meeting. Food for board meetings $2,600, and that's being very skimpy. $300 for business supplies, web hosting fees, Zoom license, a retreat. We always include $700 for the retreat that we do every year. And then because we can't pay audio in minutes for June because it's all cut off, their checks, the checks stop on the 13th of June. So we have to pay them in July for the June for last fiscal year. So we have to add that on. So, and then the only activities that are regular things that we do are $5,000 for Christmas parade, $1,000 for Candy Cane Lane,
Wait,
200,
Wait.
500.
What did you say? 500.
500 for Christmas parade, 1,000 for Candy Cane Lane, 200 for arts and crafts, and then I've got unallocated added in there that'll be left over because it's an election year. Then the newsletter is an election newsletter, and it goes under elections. And so $4,900 for the newsletter because Doug is not charging us anymore for his fees because of his new commissioner appointed position. $200 for election expenses, and then $3,000 for grants. That is our total for $32,000. We will, as I said, have about $6,000. I'm hoping for more for rollover. That will be able to go into unallocated funds. But we won't see that until late August, September time from the city clerk once they audit our year's funds. So this is out of committee. Do we have any discussion at all? Yeah.
Is there any possibility of reviving our involvement in a fall festival or a spring festival?
That would have to be come up on a basis for approval, on a 30-day event approval next year. Because it's not an annual thing that we do, like the Christmas parade.
Correct.
And so just like with all events, you have to submit within 30 days and get it approved through the board as to whether or not we're going to participate or not.
Also, just as a friendly thing, I'm hoping that things like the elections and Candy Cane Lane, if the estimated date of when those might occur can also be included in the budget, just so that we have another place where the reference to any.
There's really no way on this because this goes to the city clerk. We can do it on our own internal documents, but not on this. This is our official budget. This is their form that they have to see how we're allocating all the money of our neighborhood council money.
I could tell you this, Melanie. Candy King Lane's on December 6th.
Yeah, and we can put it on our regular budget that I do, like the monthly approval type thing. We can put the dates on that. But this in turn is for city clerk.
Right.
We don't.
And when are the elections kind of scheduled for?
It's June. But as they did, as you know, every neighborhood council has a different date.
Right.
And it depends on where we fall in the election cycle, where it's going to turn
And
out.
they have not scheduled our.
We won't
No.
see it.
We won't see it.
Maybe October, November.
Yeah.
Really?
The board elections,
Yeah.
Ray and us will get it.
But we
Then
won't
it'll
do
have
the
the whole list
newsletter
of
until
what-
they open up for candidacy and all that. And then the newsletter will have all the candidates in it once.
It's just to be able to prepare mentally as soon as possible for some of these events, so that people are aware that it's December 6th for Candy Cane Lane, and to try to remember that even now, because who knows, you
Yeah.
might be going, oh, I want to go on a holiday, and then you choose holidays.
Melanie.
Okay.
See if Octaviano knows.
Yeah. Octaviano, do you know where we're falling in elections this year at all yet? That's going to be predetermined when they decide where we're going to be last or middle or first or what. Exactly. Alrighty, so any more discussion?
Thank you.
So we'll call for the vote. Thomas?
Aye.
John?
Yeah.
Victor?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Cynthia?
Aye.
Gwen?
Yes.
Melanie? Yes. And Kelly?
Yes.
Alrighty, and that's it, the budget and finance.
All right. That takes care of item number 6A. We will go to 6B, planning and land use. Diana?
Good evening. We have two items from planning and land use tonight. For the past 2 years, I've been talking about the update to the housing element of the city's general plan and the fact that the state has required the city to zone for approximately 450,000 new housing units, of which 40% must be for low or very low-income households. So about 6-8 months ago, the city adopted their initial plan that was approved by the state. They've now moved to the implementation phase of that plan. That is, they're now developing the ordinances needed to implement that plan with more specific attention to specific parcels. If the city fails to come up with an implementation plan that is accepted by the state, a number of negative things could occur, including loss of state funding and the so-called builder's remedy projects, where a builder can build essentially anything they want, any place they want, with very few controls. You may have seen the pictures of one or more of the proposed builder's remedy projects in Rancho Palos Verdes. So it's important that a plan be developed and be submitted that meets the state's criteria. To implement the updated housing element, the city has developed a number of strategies which they will be codifying in 4 draft ordinances. They've also created a map that shows how the various strategies would impact individual parcels of land. It is very complex and very complicated. In addition, many of the lots are eligible for more than one strategy, complicating it even further. In general, the strategies provide waivers and incentives to build higher and denser with little or no parking required in exchange for various percentages of low-income housing. Increased height and density is also allowed in exchange for certain things that are labeled as public benefits, such as provision of on-site childcare and a percentage of units that are 3 bedrooms or larger. The Planning Committee has reviewed the map and the draft ordinances, and you have before you tonight comments that we've developed. There will be additional opportunities to comment as this process moves forward. The Planning Department will be reviewing all the comments they receive and will make some revisions. They will then issue a second version, which we will also review. After that, the proposed ordinances will need to go to the Planning Commission and the Planning and Land Use Committee of the City Council before finally going to City Council for approval. The state requires that they all be approved prior to the end of this year. So our draft comments, which are before you for consideration, can be found starting on page 16. Our comments talk about the uniqueness of San Pedro and its geographic isolation. We emphasize the need for workforce housing and ask the Planning Department if there's a way to give preference for new housing to existing San Pedro residents. We delineate a number of instances in which the map they've shown is incorrect, such as when they showed the Home Depot property as being government-owned. A number of other instances like that. We call out a number of transit-related issues, including the basic lack of public transit and also the lack of a true street grid on the northern portion of Western Avenue. One of their strategies emphasizes what they call opportunity corridors. And these are corridors which have various degrees of frequent transit. We point out that 2 places designated as opportunity corridors in San Pedro don't actually meet their definitions. I think they were using an old transit map. We also point out that the only true transit corridor in San Pedro is Pacific Avenue, which could actually benefit from more mixed income housing rather than just 100% affordable housing. We talk about the problems with not having any parking requirements, even for the 100% affordable housing developments. And we ask the city to work with Metro to create better transit for San Pedro. According to state law, parking cannot be required in 100% affordable housing developments. So in looking at the 100% affordable housing overlay that they have proposed, we comment that this overlay should not apply to substandard streets, which San Pedro has a number that are already overcrowded and difficult to drive up. And if you create more housing and no parking, it will only make this problem worse. We request several specific amendments to the proposed affordable housing incentive program ordinance. The ordinance should be amended to allow affordable rentals to be converted into for-sale units. We suggest that the faith-based organization strategy should be amended to limit it in single-family neighborhoods to land that was purchased before January 1 of 2024. This would be consistent with state law. The city has actually gone beyond what the law requires in this case. We're suggesting it be rolled back to be consistent with state law. We propose that a maximum of 22 feet of additional height be allowed for public benefits. Currently, it could be as many as 66 additional feet. And we request that a maximum density bonus be established for land donations. Right now, there is a minimum density bonus a developer could get, but there is no maximum density bonus for land donations. We also propose 2 amendments relating to the frequency of transit. And to amend the section on density bonuses to apply to for rent property in addition to for sale units with regard to moderate income housing units, so that those would be covered under the density bonus. And finally, there's some language regarding the coastal zone. In preparing for this meeting tonight, I realized that while we talked about our opposition to the lack of parking requirements, we did not include specific language relating to the draft ordinance. I therefore would like to recommend that we amend what we've presented to you tonight, that you amend it to include the following language in section F. 9, amend table number that's long, with regard to parking for what's called OC1 and OC2, to replace the no parking required with parking required according to code. So that would say they would have to have parking according to code. Then the second one would be to amend another table with regard to parking for what are called very low vehicle travel areas, and again to replace the no parking required with 0.5 parking spaces per unit, which would be according to code for that particular type of housing. And the last one would be to amend another table with regard to parking for what they call higher opportunity or moderate opportunity areas, and again replace the no minimum parking required with the 0.5 parking spaces per unit. So this, what I've just suggested, would require an amendment to the comment letter.
So moved.
So there is the proposal before you.
Good job.
Out of committee.
It came out unanimously out of committee.
Any comments, discussion, questions?
So moved to entertain.
Did you say it came out of committee?
I said it was unanimous out of committee.
But the
but I proposed an amendment that would have to be proposed on the floor.
Oh, okay. I hear what you're saying.
And I'm motioning for the amendment.
Second, Thomas Norman.
The amendment basically dealt with the no parking requirements.
Tom?
Yeah, and I wanted to speak to the amendment because I'm strongly in favor. We had a lot of discussion about parking. We've had discussion in this group about parking. And I've just heard lots from community members about the units that have gone up with zero parking and then wanting to change their mind, and they're now advocating for parking retroactively. It's going to make the issue worse. So I really hope that this group will support going with the code. I don't know why they should be exempted from the codes. The rest of the people in San Pedro or Los Angeles are opposed to. So hope we'll vote in favor.
I did have a question.
Okay.
We have to vote on the amendment first, correct?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
You have to vote on the amendment and then.
Yes, you have to vote on the
Okay.
amendment first. Any other?
I just want to commend you on this. It's
good.
so intense and so much information that I didn't know, and I'm so grateful to have it. Thank you.
Yeah. It's
Can't wait
good.
to share
It's
it.
really good,
high,
Diana.
high attention to detail. I mean, really, really.
It's really thorough.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? All
We have a
right.
good committee.
Excellent.
So voting on the amendment only?
Okay, on the amendment, John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Larry Eaton.
Yes.
Craig Goldfarb.
Yes.
Cynthia Gagne.
Yes.
Gwen Henry.
Yes.
Melanie LeBrecq.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Abby Norman. Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Okay, it's 11 ayes. It's unanimous.
All right.
I had questions.
Okay.
Now we'll.
Go ahead. Question?
You said that these comments will be provided, but that some will be considered and some will be not. If there are some that don't make it to this next round of listening and making revisions, you say that we will have another opportunity to speak. Can we then revisit some of these items and reinforce if there's anything that is still of import?
Yeah, I think we may find because these are so complex, we may find additional things that we want to comment on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And particularly if we hear what other neighborhood councils say, oftentimes we learn from listening.
Okay, so
Just a quick comment. Yeah, go ahead. Just to tie it to, I really felt like the mayor heard us on this, and I want us to. One of the key things outside of parking I'm really in favor of is showing how little transit we had. And we did have one person in the meeting because where she lived there, the bus worked really well, but that's not necessarily the case for all of San Pedro. And it's going to be linked to, I think, the Vincent Thomas Bridge closure, right? So hopefully we can pressure the city to provide, more equity there because we already have other, forces that are going to make things harder. So that, I think that's an opportunity we have too. And certainly to Gwen, we'll please continue to talk to committee members about the areas that pop up. If we work together and get some attention, hopefully we can make all of our lives getting around here easier.
Tom, if I can just say that would be an excellent comment to make on the 13th. I have not heard anyone say anything about that type of item on the meetings. Gwen.
Melody.
I'm silly. Sorry.
And I agree with you. San Pedro is just so poor on their transportation. It really is. With the buses, the way that they're routed and everything, they're like hit and miss all over the place. And then the other thing is, I remember when I first got on the council, and Bob Bryant was on the council, and one thing that Bob said when Metro came, when they were touting about the Metro train going all the way to Torrance, and he's like, why are you here? You aren't bringing it to San Pedro. Why are you here? We have asked and asked for the train to come all the way down here, and you've ignored us, and now you're going to come and tout that it's going to be up to Torrance. Why are you here? And it just echoes to me because that's something that all of us have been saying. Why do they neglect bringing it all the way down to San Pedro? It would be the biggest beneficial to all the port workers that work there, that come from all over, and to the people that live here that travel to LA for work.
So we've called that out and asked the city to advocate on our behalf for that. That's in the letter.
Okay, any other questions from around the table? I see no hands. Lori?
So I echo that the amount of work put on here is commendable. It's amazing. A couple things. So I've been a big advocate for allowing parking for a long time, and I believe the governor signed this into law. He's trying to get people out of their cars, and I get that. Okay, I'm an environmentalist too, but this is not the answer because you're taking impacted areas. And if you want people to be on board with the building of additional affordable housing, killing their neighborhood with parking is not the way. But the question I had is, because we have to have this by the end of the year, okay, we're pushed with the RENA. You're asking for a lot, and they're all very important. But maybe because we are on a time crunch, could you, or maybe these already are, prioritize the most important ones? So if they can't adhere to all of them, and what will happen? I mean, will the Planning Commission at some point say, to implement this and avoid builder's remedy, we're just going to vote on something?
The way the planning department works with neighborhood councils in the community is they start off with a draft plan. They ask for all of our comments. They then look at all those comments. It's a little bit like the EIR process, looking at all those. They then come back with a second draft. That's still a draft. It then has to go through the planning commission and the planning committee of city council before it goes to council. All those times you have an opportunity to comment.
Are these in priority order?
These are not in priority. There's not a priority. At this point, it's just comments, and that's what they want. They want comments. What are the things you think should be changed? What are your comments on this? And that's what they ask for.
I also wanted to thank you for including workforce housing. There isn't enough talk about doing programs like that. It makes so much sense, and it's been successful in Northern California and other places across the country. So I think the mayor did hear you about despite Theo asking for her bus bench, which, by the way, was denied today. But the sidewalk's not wide enough. But it's so important that that we get the community voicing in on these, because I read all the social media and, oh my God, they're building this housing, they're building this, it's impacting us. We're asking for their input. And so as neighborhood council, we are the voice for them. If they're, you don't get to complain after it's already in place. So thank your team for doing all this work.
Pat, I saw your hand up.
Yeah, most of the things that are in the report are actually mistakes of fact.
Yeah.
For example, talking about Home Depot and the facilities, a little, just kind of a mistake, and to designate opportunity for it as being fair and friendly. When bus system really isn't there, using old schedules, there's stuff about parts that properly designated, things like that. So you can't prioritize stuff like that. You just make a mistake.
Yeah. A lot of errors.
Very good point. Thank you for that. Any other comments? Okay, I guess that was our discussion period. So let's vote on the.
Okay, the housing element motion as amended. John Bogarla.
Yes.
The Christensen, aye. Larry Eaton.
Yes.
Craig Goldfarb.
Yes.
Cynthia Gagne.
Aye.
Gwen Henry.
Yes.
Melanie LeBrecq.
Aye.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Abby Norman.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Once again, 11 ayes, unanimous.
The next item is a CIS in support of Council File 240490. A few months ago, this board approved a CIS requesting some amendments to the ordinance that was proposed for the implementation of the Mayor's Executive Directive 1 with regard to affordable housing. Unfortunately, that ordinance seems to be stalled. And because it's stalled, Councilwoman Yaroslavsky introduced a motion that contains one of the proposed changes to ED1. And her motion is in the agenda package. This motion is specific to HPOZs. That is, HPOZ is a historic preservation overlay zone, such as the Vinegar Hill section of San Pedro. Basically, this council motion would restore the existing review process that is designed to ensure that all development, including 100% affordable housing, is not out of scale and is in compliance with the HPOZ preservation plan. So it's protecting the historical areas to keep development to be consistent with the historical nature of those neighborhoods. Our proposed CIS can be found on page 22. It's very simple. It says that we support the proposed motion and that it will help to preserve the character of our historic neighborhoods. And again, it was unanimous out of committee. Melanie.
Diana, do you have the motion to read it? Because it didn't make it into the packet.
I can read it.
It's on.
No, I'm looking at my packet and
It's short. I can read it.
I'll read it.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
just the CIS, not the motion itself that we're supporting.
You want the CIS wording, right?
Yep.
Right. We have CIS, but not what we're supporting. It says that it supports the proposed motion.
The motion's on page 22.
She's asking for the council file.
The council file's on page 22.
The number.
But there's no actual motion.
No, page 22 is our CIS in support of the council file. It is not the council file itself.
The council file is not in here.
Council file. I'm sorry. I thought I saw the council. Well, I sent it to me included. I'm sorry. The council file is much longer. If you want me to read the.
Which item is that?
Yeah, the council file didn't make it into the packet. Only the CIS.
Yeah, I did send it in. I'm sorry they didn't print it.
As this came out of committee, and I believe that
the description of what it encompasses was fairly thorough.
I could read it quickly.
Yeah, could you?
Really fastly. Okay, this is the one, right, Dana? Yeah, HOPC. All right, as the council continues to deliberate any proposed ordinance. Oh, did you have it?
What page is it on?
No,
It's item 6B on the website.
It's on the website.
As the council continues to live, it's pretty long. You want me to read the whole thing?
Just kind of briefly what the motion is.
I'll do the I therefore.
Yeah.
The last
Yeah.
two paragraphs. I therefore move that the council instruct the planning department in consultation with the city attorney to prepare and present a citywide interim control ordinance to impose temporary regulations restoring the existing HPOZ discretionary review process on the issuance of permits associated with any demolition, building, use of land, grading, and other applicable permits for the new construction of 100% affordable housing projects that are currently subject to a ministerial approval process located in a historical preservation overlay zone neighborhood, and thereby ensure compliance with HPOZ preservation plans.
Okay.
I further move that the interim control ordinance include an urgency clause making it effective upon publication, and then there's some time frames for it to run, and it can be renewed, but it'll go until adoption of the appropriate land use regulatory controls have been prepared by the planning department, adopted by the council, and become effective whichever occurs first.
Okay. Yeah, it's important to know for everybody to know what they're voting for and supporting.
Yeah.
So
It was on the website.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, can we go ahead and take the vote?
Okay, John Barbera.
Yes.
Dick Christensen, aye. Larry Eaton.
Yes.
Craig Goldfarb. Abstain. Cynthia Gagne.
Yes. Yes.
Gwen Henry.
Yes.
Melanie LeBrecq.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Abby Norman.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Rigoletto.
Yes.
Okay, 10 ayes, 1 abstention.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Diana, quick question. PAIP?
That's the $64,000 question, Ray. We have yet to get a clear indication of what the process is going to be for the PIP for this year. We were given, remember, we were supposed to have it in at the end of, I believe, in March. Maybe it was April. Everyone scurried around, got things in. Now we're told, oh, maybe it's September. We're still asking, what's the role of the council office? And how's this rolling out? But sometime between now and September, they will be considering our input into the PIP.
So we did turn in.
We need what?
We did turn in our.
It was late. For some reason, it didn't get mailed when it was supposed to, but it did finally. When I went to see it on the website and discovered it wasn't there, it got mailed.
Okay, because I got an email from the port asking where our PIP.
Yeah, it was, for some reason, it didn't get.
Okay.
I can't explain it. We asked for it to be mailed. Christina thought it had gone, but it hadn't.
Okay.
But it has been taken care of now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to the end of item 6. Move on to item 7, President's meeting with the port.
They were dark because of Fleet Week, but hopefully everybody enjoyed Fleet Week. They worked very hard. I thought it was a fantastic event.
Fleet Week was enjoyable, but I avoided it. There was a lot of people there.
Yep.
Did anybody get on the aircraft carrier? We didn't get on, but just seeing it, it was pretty cool.
I go there at 8 o'clock in the morning and I'm done at noon. It's grand time. I've enjoyed it for many, many years. I'm in, I'm out, and I know the crowds. I don't live far away.
Huh?
I plan my moves. And
For what?
I enjoyed it at home.
Me too. Oh, I didn't go, did you?
No, I like the aircraft carriers.
There weren't any injuries, so that was good compared compared to last year.
Yeah. Okay. So, moving on to committee reports. We'll start off with the executive committee. We have we've given our, I don't want to say approval, but we did vote last time that we are good with going virtual, at least considering the concept of it. I want to make sure that we are all in the same boat, if you will. That doesn't mean that we do all virtual meetings right now at this point. I think it's up to each individual committee to be able to come to their own conclusion that they'll be going virtual. So you do not. I would ask that each committee, at the very least, and in their next public meeting, have that conversation about how they feel about going virtual. Because not everyone is in agreement. Not everyone is, everyone has an opinion as to what they want to do, and I think everyone has should have that opportunity to share and vote if the committee you're in would like to go virtual. At least then people have that considered opportunity. It just makes it equitable for everybody to be able to do that. So please don't just jump in and start doing virtual meetings, because then you've silenced the voices of those people who may have a differing opinion. So I just ask that you do that at that particular point for your committees. And then if the case comes down to it, then we also do the same thing for our board meetings also, when we start thinking about that, if we do. So with that said, that is what I kind of wanted to emphasize this time around for this particular item. We had a very intense discussion at the executive meeting about this. So for the sake of being equitable and inclusive, let's have that public meeting in your committees and have the discussion, if that's something you want to consider, just going virtual. Any thoughts? Any questions? Okay, Gwen, and then Mel.
I believe that this meeting in particular might have a bit better attendance, even on a virtual basis, if a couple of the members were able to participate online. I hope that perhaps in 2024 or 25 that we possibly devise a budget or a process that we can use at a particular site for committee meetings, utilize a Wi-Fi source, possibly have some kind of system that would be available to us, and some kind of Zoom account that we could utilize if we needed or desired it. I believe that in our report, we will be discussing what we had discussed on the same matter, but I think that this meeting would have benefited.
Okay. Mel?
Yeah, as we discussed at the executive board meeting, it's really important for each committee to decide individually if they're going to meet in person or if they're going to meet virtually. One of the things that was suggested at executive board through conversation is that you think about whether or not what your stakeholdership was when we were virtual versus now. This is about the public, not about our own personal preferences or what we choose. It's about what benefits the public most for their being able to come to our meetings. Does it help to get better attendance if we are virtual? Does it mean maybe the committees do a test in person and then a test virtual to see if possibly what they get? If they get more virtual than they do in person, just do a test run. Also, some committees are having problems with getting a quorum. Does that mean maybe they need to go virtual so that they get a better quorum? That's a possibility too. So it's things to think about. And it's got to be a general consensus on the committees, what each committee individually decides.
Any other comments? Okay.
I'm going to refrain.
No, you don't have to refrain. I mean, this is every comment is important.
Okay. After having taught on Zoom, I do not want to do another virtual meeting. If I can't meet in person, I mean, there are some things. I think that we've been taking classes on Zoom and stuff. We're not learning anything. It's horrible. And I just think that we need the accountability of being there and stuff. Thank you. And I'm sorry. I just think that we need to have that personable, be in person, meet, talk about it. And I'm sorry, on the computer, I just fall asleep. It's like watching TV. That's why I don't watch TV. I fall asleep. On a Zoom meeting, I fall asleep.
Any other comments? No? Okay. Thank you for your comments. Let's keep the conversation going and let's start them off in our committees and then we evolve or not. So anyway, in this area, in our executive committee, I think I just kind of want to get a confirmation and then maybe some congratulations. Gwen, has there been any change in your status recently?
Oh, yeah. The Community Forestry Advisory Committee, I was approved in council chambers and then was sworn in this week as a committee member for CD15. I hope to help on the upcoming, they're working on the housing component, and there is a landscape component, and there's a lot coming out of the Community Forestry Advisory Committee.
Cool.
So.
You're a tree person.
This is a committee that meets in Public Works. It's part of the city. The forestry, so it basically liaises with urban forestry, the urban forestry division, street services, Public Works, Rec and Park, or Park and Rec. Rec and Park. Yeah. And regarding the public trees, but also it's right now going to be working on a new series of landscape requirements for housing and development. I don't know if any of you are aware, but SB 9 and SB 10, which came out of the state, just pretty much dispensed with a lot of EIRs and processes just to get housing done as quickly as possible. And what has happened is, and this is proven through satellite review of our city canopy, it's getting chopped down at a rate that without shade, we are in trouble, folks. And it's a quality of life issue for everyone. But we also have other things like people chop down their street tree. There has to be accountability for that. Nonetheless, the Community Forestry Advisory Committee liaises with those various departments, keeps an eye on state bills and things like that, and tries to help to protect the canopy. So in SB 9, I believe, was struck down as unconstitutional, but the landscaping portion of the housing ordinances are coming up, and so our individual communities need to hone in on our own trees and also be able to help with those huge permitting processes that are coming up online, so developers can, check off what they're doing. If they chop down all the trees on their property, that's automatic less shade. What that means is they have to put a little baby in place, and that's not going to provide shade for a very long time. So these things.
Gwen, maybe you can give us some type of overview at some point.
Yeah, but that's it.
Paper overview.
If you guys kind of get the idea.
She's
Well,
the tree representative.
She started out and you've been appointed to this committee?
Yes.
Been appointed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's move on to agenda item number 8B and C. We're not going to get anything else on the agenda thing, right,
No.
Craig? And also the West Harbor Advisory Committee? Is that a no?
It's a no.
On both? Okay, we're going to start taking those off the agenda moving forward. Budget and Finance, Melanie?
Nothing really other than for the budget advocate, budget day is the 15th at 7:30 a.m. is breakfast, and then it starts and it goes until 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But yeah. So budget day, you learn about the budget. That's when new budget advocates are elected and all. So that is the 15th.
Okay, how about Public Safety?
And public safety, the CPAB report is on page 24. At page 23, we're in the process of trying to produce a document, a letter, because we've gotten a lot of reports from committee members as well as outside community members. There's a lot of problems around Park Western, Taper Elementary, 7th Street School, with a lot of negligent drivers, people running through stop signs, speeding when children are in the area. There's no crossing guards at a couple of the schools. I mean, this is sad. This is our children and our schools, and somebody needs a red flag thrown at them to have a letter saying we need to start addressing some of these problems. So we're working on that at Public Safety and putting a letter together that will hopefully be bringing to the board next month. So, and that's it.
All right, thank you. Any questions on that?
Some of the speeders are parents.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Are you saying just all the schools in general around here, yes?
Yes. It's bad.
Yeah.
We were standing by 7th Street today, coming back from our culmination. And on 7th and Ellery, 5 cars ran the stop sign while we were standing there.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
they didn't even stop. No crossing guard. They didn't even stop. It was like it wasn't even there.
Yeah.
And that we were there 2 minutes, walking up the street. My colleague and I, we just looked at each other and like,
It is.
I watched it over by taper too. It's as if they're like something special, and they don't have to stop at that stop sign. They fly down 9th Street, our binary, like it's a highway. Anyway,
Gwen?
Our council member has been extremely responsive for street improvements. I believe that Drew Leach would have talked about this, but the Bandini, which is the border between Northwest and Central, has gone through an extreme improvement, as has this residential street just on the other side of Holy Trinity Church, going over to Summerland. Literally a 3-foot-high ridge of asphalt, literally this tall, in the middle of the street, and it is being worked on right now. He's been extremely responsive, and I believe that with the right letter, we could get everything from flashing lights, the flashing light thing, dots, bumps, slow down, you name it.
School zone.
Yeah.
School zone, true improvement.
I agree. So it's in the process, working on it. So hopefully
Well, hopefully we can get something going in before school starts.
And public
again.
safety meeting will be at 5 o'clock on the 27th versus at regular time because of the pet park thing that they're having with LAPD here at 6. So we'll have to have public safety first and then come into that for the town hall. So public safety will be at 5 on the 27th.
Could you announce the town hall too?
Huh?
Could you please announce the town hall?
Yeah, the town hall is going to be here at Pet Park on the 27th, following public safety meeting from 6 to 8 with all of the LAPD SLOs. The councilman's going to be here and the captain and everything. It's going to be a big public safety town hall.
When you say here, you mean right here in this room?
Hmm?
Here in this room?
Park.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Here at
Got
Pet
it.
Park.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, let's move on to youth and outreach. Anything? Nothing? What's that? Oh, yeah, there's nothing on bylaws.
Yeah.
No, thank you for that. Youth and outreach, nothing. Planning and land use, there's nothing. She is gone. Community issues. Okay. Port and Environmental Sustainability Committee.
I think Abby
I have something short about youth and outreach.
Sure.
Is raising her hand.
Oh, no, I was raising for you.
Oh,
You're raising
okay.
your hand.
Well, then I just want to recognize youth outreach. Good job. It's good to see the advocates out. So I'm excited
Yeah,
about
we
that.
did get it out.
We did get it out.
All right. Quick report. I want to thank Craig in particular at our last meeting. He had been trying to get somebody from the board to discuss the light and the noise issues. So Augie visited us and had a conversation. Maybe not to full satisfaction, but at least discussed. He said he's going to go back and look at some of the suggestions and encourage us the more specific things the port could do, because he had a follow-up conversation with me. He actually even apologizing if he came across, he didn't say snarky, but if he came across as too negative, I said, well, we'll invite you back, and if we can have some more specific things for the port to look at, that he thought that would be helpful for him to come back with some actions they're going to work on to deal with light and noise pollution. We did begin discussion. We had a hybrid meeting. We're trying to figure out what this should look like as we kind of move into the new phase. I don't know if we'll go all virtual for anything, but at least trying to do hybrid. We had some attendees, and anything else you recall, co-chair? I think that was the main discussion.
The main discussion was that, as well as discussion about having a joint meeting and inviting Wilmington to this. We very much would like to join forces with Wilmington, especially about a lot of these things, the Vincent Thomas Bridge, the PAIP, environmental concerns, you name it. And again, we're stronger as one voice for the entire harbor area.
That's Wilmington, in addition to Central, who's already had outreach. We've had conversations,
Yes.
possibly Coastal, though, Coastal likes its own thing. And I want to thank Vic, as we've been looking at dates that would work, reminding us of the constraints, seeing if we're going to do it virtual, and very clear we need to not conflict with other standing committee meetings. So we're going to work through that in our next meeting in June.
Yes, the virtual, the hybrid meeting went very smoothly. It was very good, and thank you, Vic, for participating.
Okay.
Okay, just for clarity, hybrid, not virtual. You actually did a hybrid meeting.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay,
They had their own equipment.
nice.
We used our own equipment in lieu of, trying to play around to find out what was possible, and then be able to report back to see if there could be a kit that's a reasonable price, or we could come up with a system that would work for hybrid. We are in agreement that having an in-person place, some of us are willing to be there.
We have an action item for members to come up with a specific proposal for our officers and treasurer to look at, that it would be easier for those of us meeting in that city, I'm not sure what I'm doing, the city hall meeting room, that if instead of having to remember to take the projector and bring it there, if there was a clause, or if we could talk to the council member's office, just having it set up, because we did have a little snafu. One of my pieces of equipment My connector didn't work for broadcasting it. We were still able to look at it on screens, but my personal projector is getting a little bit old and dated. So
Is there no big screen at the
one of the rooms has one,
City
but
Hall?
I've been told, and Diana's been told, that we shouldn't use it. It's not for us because we might break it, but maybe that's something we could get training on and trust them that we wouldn't break the machine in that.
The
that
board,
room.
the Board of Engineering has a room that they utilize for hybrid meetings. And but it is their equipment. They have been very careful with that.
Because the projector, if you have a white wall, can go on a wall.
Yeah, and that's what we.
And you can put the faces up on the white wall.
Yeah,
and then
that's what I've done for Dana once before, and then I think I've done it twice actually. But then my adapter, because I have an older non-HMDI, I wanted a newer computer, so my cable broke at the meeting. But I'm going to get a new cable.
And
So
in the
anyway,
same thing, I would like to get a hotspot.
We can discuss this.
Let's move on because we're running out of time. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Christensen Science Center. Anything?
Well, no meetings, but a while back they got some chickens that they had on site for a while, and then suddenly about 2-3 weeks ago, they said, well, the chickens, there's something going on, and the chickens need to go as soon as possible, so they are gone. But what that something is a big secret. They're not telling anybody, which is no big surprise coming out of, or rather not coming out of LAUSD, because they never tell the community what's going on. So that's all I can tell you is the chickens were there. People liked them, even the ones across the street who may have been woken up sometimes by the rooster. But they liked it, and now they're gone, and nobody knows, nobody outside of apparently a small circle knows why. So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
I'll ask Martisich.
So that concludes agenda item number 8. And moving on to 9, these are liaison reports. Animal shelter liaison. Angela's not here.
They still
Miranda?
need dog blankets.
I'm sorry?
They still need blankets for the dogs coming in to cuddle rather than the cold cement.
Yeah, they're still taking blankets because they're overcrowded with the dogs right now.
Any dog supplies there, have a wish list. And the other thing to kind of let you know the ongoing concern, I believe that right now you could actually go right on the animal shelter site, and there's a pop-up window that has been going on for it's a campaign for the last 2 months or so, but it's every dog, or what is it called?
Every dog.
Just one dog. Or
Just one dog.
something of that nature.
For adoption.
At this time of night, all of the shelters will have counted and reported, they do this every day, and it goes up on site on this pop-up window, how many dogs came into the shelter and how many left and how many are in the shelter. The 753 or 783 is the maximum capacity of how many dogs in particular that can be in there, and it always is 1,493. They did a campaign. It was a free weekend, all weekend this last week, and where people could adopt. And they did a significant job of dog adoptions went down, but I'm sorry, the next few days they went right back up. So you can keep track of that and see how many pets. And the other concern is, I'll just say this. I don't know if you're looking at the pet sites on San Pedro, California, some of the social media, but people all over the community, and this includes Wilmington, Westlake, Long Beach, and everywhere, there are dogs being abandoned at beaches, at parks, in apartments, you name it. And it's because, and this is the concern, is that there is a waiting list for taking your dog,
pet in.
your pet there are people waiting to give up their pet.
Yeah,
And I
because they
think
can't afford to keep them anymore. Or
I'm going to ask that
So-
perhaps maybe there is some communication that someone may want to have. Otherwise, I'll do it. That we get some kind of feedback from our animal liaison shelter, because everything that you said is very important. But the biggest thing, and I don't know how many of you heard the news, but there was a mauling.
that's what I was just going to say. It happened a couple weeks
There was a
ago.
mauling by a shelter person, and they put the dog down.
Yeah, they did.
So
but there's
those
so-
things are disturbing, and
Yeah.
I'd like to.
It was
find
one of
out
the
a little bit more
unadoptable
about it.
dogs that they talked about when we went to that meeting.
This is something that needs to also be understood, that there are a series of animals of animals that are labeled unsafe for adoption, and yet the process in which to evaluate those dogs is very slow. To finally be able to say that there are no rescues that are willing to take this to rehabilitate the dog or give them a safe place, it's not there. The trained staff to be able to recognize the behavior of a dog.
Gwen, this
Yeah.
is really important, but I think
Lawsuits. What's happening is that when it mauls,
a real report on this.
the mauling, a mauling of an employee ends up in a lawsuit and a multi-million dollar judgment where that person is given a large chunk of change.
And it was a San Pedro volunteer, and it was a dog that mauled.
And the situation is that every time this occurs, that's less money.
Gwen, I just kind of want to say that we have to move on. So I appreciate the information, but we need more of a time to do that. So thank you. I don't think there's any other liaison reports unless... No? Okay. Any announcements, future agenda items? No? Final non-agenda item, public comments? Yes, Abby.
If you read this newsletter, it talks about the Congressional Award, and I'm one of the 2 people in San Pedro that was awarded it, and I'm going to be heading there tomorrow to D.C. to get the U.S. Minted Award, and like a lot of those hours were doing this, so I wanted to thank you guys.
Thank you. That's great. Congratulations.
You get to meet both
Congrats,
of our
Abby.
senators. And I'm happy to get to go along
Do you
for
get
the
to go
ride.
with her?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I get to meet Padilla and Vonza. And actually, Barragan's the only one who's not there. She apologized, but she got us a White House tour instead.
Oh, wow.
Well, congratulations.
Congrats,
That's
Abby.
great.
Take
Okay.
lots of pictures.
Next meeting is Monday the 8th, July 8th. And without objection, we're adjourned.
Yay. And it looks like there's going to be a lot of sandwiches left, so everybody grab them and take them. Otherwise, I'm going to take them to the police station. I'm trying to lose weight again because it looks like there might be a lot left.